Can I ask you a question about what you said about when we don't have any thoughts anymore, that's when we transcend? Is that meaning like we're passing, our body, our form isn't here anymore and we pass on? Is that what you mean?
Well, transcending the mind can happen while still in the form. Yeah, okay. Yeah. When you're totally happy, when you're joyous, when you feel grateful, when you feel really good, at that moment there's a transcendence. Yeah. You see, because at that moment you're nothing. That's why there is such great joy. Yeah. You see, even if people look at you or they talk about you, you know, nothing matters. Nothing, because there's no one here.
So is it way off topic to ask, when you aren't in form anymore, and then you're like life after death, and is there still like a way of forming a world? And how would you do that if you don't have thoughts?
That's another thing too. This is something that I've realized too. I often used to think, well, okay, when I die, you know, where do we go, what happens, blah, blah, blah. But then eventually you begin to realize, as you begin to live more in peace, is that there is no such thing as death. It actually, nothing happens. So if you, okay, a year ago, I think, was it a year ago, I had blood poisoning. And I was rushed to the hospital. I was living with Sylvia at the time, and she called the ambulance and they took me to the hospital, and I think my heartbeat actually fell because I was dying, and I think and I experienced, it was so beautiful, you know, and I had a smile on my face all the time throughout in the hospital. They put me in isolation because they thought it's a kind of disease they don't know what it's about. They thought I was in some foreign country, and they put me in isolation, and Sylvia stayed with me. She slept on the floor. They kept me there for 16 hours. But anyway, I'm getting off the story here. But I all that time I was absolutely happy. I was really happy. You know, because as soon as I arrived at the hospital, I experienced an out of body. But it was so beautiful, you know, it was so grand that nothing can, you know, if anything happens to the body, nothing has actually happened. Yeah. You're still you, you know, you're still there, you're still full functioning, see? Because with awareness, like awareness is our true nature, okay? Awareness is that nothing state. That it has self-organizing and self-recognizing. It has those two aspects. And this is why you can trust the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is pure awareness, okay? That's what I call the Holy Spirit. Because it takes care of you, because it knows exactly what you need before you even need it. You see, when you trust it, you live in that state. So, anyway, what am I getting at here? So when the body drops, you go into that state. But there's another part which created the split when we were born, when the earth began, the Big Bang, you know, and time began and human beings were born. We were living in oneness prior to that. When that began, time began and consciousness began. So consciousness, even the Course regards it as the split. You see, and that's what created the idea that we are separate, okay, in consciousness. Awareness, it's all the same awareness. All 7 billion people on this earth have the same awareness. Not what you're aware of. What you are of becomes consciousness. Do you know the difference? Yes. Oh, okay. Okay.
Can you explain
so, but we go back to after death. So when you pass away, the consciousness will remain with you too. The consciousness doesn't die either, you see, because it's one with awareness, you know. So even though there's no individual, yet there is always the idea that it's you who's aware, that it's you who's being, that is the beauty. See, that is the, yeah.
Kind of off topic, but it's still related. There's a lot of reports out there that's being done where near-death experiences where like just the person's flat dead and then they flew out of the body and then a tunnel of light black dark tunnel, and then there's a light in the on the other side, and then just they see loved ones and everything, and then they come back. And then so I'm wondering, the physical body dies, but it's almost like you said, death is only idea. So that's what really dies, just the idea. But really, it just continues on.
Yeah.
So it's like
when you see the light, okay, and you head towards the light, if you were to enter that light, you wouldn't come back. The reason these people remember the light and they come back is because they never went all the way. Somehow or other they were not ready, or maybe they didn't want to. You see,
Yes.
let's say if your body drops, and at that moment you say, oh, I've got to go back to earth, and my wife needs me, my cat needs me, or whatever, you know, I need to come back. Somehow or other you probably come back.
Yes, many of them say that they were aware that it was their choice,
Yeah.
that they had the choice and they chose those that came back chose to.
Yeah. Yeah. So these transitions, you see, which we are aware of, it's all the concept that consciousness gave us, that we think we are split, we are separate, but there is no separation at all.
And I think it was Ramana Maharshi who said that it was just like slipping off an old shoe.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, people have asked many times, but they said, but he died of cancer, but he's a fully enlightened being, why would he die of cancer? You see, the point, there are many things that we don't understand. Like, for example, what was his name? That beautiful, recent sage, Nisargadatta Maharaj. You see, he died of cancer too, from a stroke, but he was always chewing beedies and created cancer of the throat. But then people ask, well, why does it happen to a master? Well, you know, Ramana Maharshi, one time, it happened many times. One time there was a Dr. Paul Brunton, and he traveled in India for 20 years searching for truth. Well, the moment he saw Ramana Maharshi, he knew this is it. He met the real McCoy here. And Ramana Maharshi usually looks at the people, he looks them straight in the eye, and the moment they get his gaze, they feel that emptiness, they feel that incredible surge of what is real, you see, so there's an awakening there. But he couldn't give it to Dr. Paul Brunton, because Paul Brunton was moving around the mountain at the time, and he pricked his finger, and some poison went into his finger, and his finger swelled up, you see. So it was throbbing, you know, with pain and discomfort, and he couldn't sit still. Ramana Maharshi looked at him. Ramana Maharshi took his own finger, went like this, and he transferred it. He transferred the swelling onto his body. And people have said that he's done it so often, so often to his body, that at one point he suffered cancer. And then the doctor said, if I cut off the arm where the cancer is happening, we can save you. And he said, what for? And then the people said, but master, we don't want you to go away. He says, go away? Where can I go? People now, they go to Arunachala, you know, to the mountain in India, and just to be in his vibrations, and so, yeah. So anyway, there are many things we don't understand, and we cannot judge, you see. But whatever happens, happens, and nothing happens by chance. And we learn from it.
And I think that the peace that we want and that surrender that was required is, for me, when I really got it, was one of the lessons in the Course in Miracles says that I have no separate will. My will and God's will are the same.
What a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah, and when I realized that, I thought, well then of course I trust. Like, God's will for me is perfect happiness. My will for me is perfect happiness. Yeah. It's a match.
It's a match. Yes, yes. It's exactly the same. But to realize that, to realize you are God, everything about God is you, you know. Yeah. The two words, God is, says it all. You know. And so when you actually transcend yourself, when you actually realize there is no you, you know, even while in the body, and you realize there is no you, what is actually happening at that moment is that you are beginning to feel and see through the eyes of the divine. You see? You know? And so everything is clear without thinking about it. And without saying, I know something. Because there's nothing to know. There's only seeing. You see? Imagine right now. You say, I don't want to think about it, but I want to experience truth right now. What is real? Okay, let's experience the real right now. See? Right this moment. This moment right now. This is the truth. There's no past. There's no future. You are here. And this is the eternal. Now, of course, you might identify with what is happening as what is the real. But what is happening is always changing, but the now itself, this moment now, is eternal. See? Never, nothing can ever happen to you. Now, if you understand that this now is eternal, every question that can be asked of you, you'll be able to answer about reincarnation, about karma, about life after death. Everything becomes clear. Just from that one simple thing. It's not something that you know intellectually. It's not something that you have studied or read about. It is that knowing, that sensing, see, that seeing, and everything is clear. Just feel even, you can feel it now. Your heart is open, and you feel it. Is there anything that you cannot see? Because you look with innocent eyes. And there's nothing you don't understand when you look with innocent eyes. Do we really actually incarnate? You see, in this lifetime alone, for example, at my age, I've reincarnated at least 5 times already in this lifetime. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a baby,
Yeah.
then I was a child, then I was a teenager, then I became a young man.
Well,
you see?
now you're even younger.
And now I'm getting younger. And those are all different bodies, different beliefs, different everything. You see? But you can still say, I am. Yeah. But everything is different. See, that's what reincarnation is. So, if you haven't learned, then you have to repeat, as I mentioned. So you take on a different form. But you still say, I am. You know. And it's not a continuation. It's still the same moment. This moment. And another 1,000,000 years from now is this moment. Still the same moment. Ever fresh, ever new, ever alive. See? The word alive is so beautiful because it combines everything. It combines what love is, what joy is, the feeling of oneness, you know. But the moment we stop feeling alive, then we seek it. And that's when we begin to suffer sadness. And then we get up in the morning without feeling complete. You see? Because when you're not alive, when you don't feel alive, you feel incomplete. And so naturally a part of you wants to feel that completion, strives for it. And the more it strives for it, the farther away it goes from you. And that's how people get deeply depressed and sometimes become totally dysfunctional. And then we begin to call them different names. Schizophrenic, bipolar, manic depressive. All kinds of labels. You see? And all they are is simply nothing more than than identification with an elusive or illusive you.
And even if we don't have, you know, one of those many things, or even a common depression, we still miss the moments. And that, like, that for me, back to the bus stop, when I did surrender and stop judging it as wrong, then all of a sudden I felt really intimate sitting in this bus stop with people all around me in the dark and the rain. Like all of a sudden it was, I felt alive and intimate.
That's right. Yeah.